Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday to another episode of Guided by Spirit. I am your host, Richard LaRocco, intuitive medium, with my amazing co-host, Miss Pauline Raffaella. How you doing, Pauline?
I survived the eclipse, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. How are you? How are you, Richard?
Oh, we came through, unscathed, which was good. We got a lot going on today's episode. I'm really excited about this because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I live this, I practice this, and I'm super excited to have a very, 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 very special guest today.
Yes.
But before we go into that, let's get to universally speaking, because we have so much stuff going on and
We
energetically. So what do we have, Pauline?
well, we do. So, as we talked about a week ago, prepare for the upcoming lunar full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which happened 2 days ago on Tuesday, the 17th, depending upon who you are following. Could have been the 17th, 18th. Anyway, the last couple of days. Well, I would love for our listeners to tell us how they are doing after that, because it was like a bomb went off. You could have felt extreme fatigue. I know I did. I just wanted to sleep. I am still feeling that. There's symptoms of anxiety, depression, fogginess, confusion, you name it. This Pisces eclipse is trying to rip off the fog and the illusion of who you are and of what's happening in life and get you clear and in the know. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I found a lot of what happened, even in the shadow period before, I
Yeah.
found it kind of like really brought up a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions. We talked about this off camera of where we started going in and we started really like, what's going on? Where are we at? Where are we going? What's coming up? And really sitting back very with almost like a different set of optics. It was very interesting and very fascinating how this occurred, and what the energy this brought up. So
It
now
it did. And if you found yourself reviewing the past again, oh my God, how many times is the past going to come back to haunt me? That one thing or that other thing. I thought I was done with that, right? Over it. It comes back to be released a little bit more deeply, and that was happening. So did you find that you felt like you were being pulled inward into quiet, like into a cocoon, like needing to be in a cocoon? And I would love to hear our listeners and people who are listening. Have you felt like you wanted to like not socialize, just be alone, or just be home, or just be quiet, or just feel like you wanted to cocoon? Because that's what was happening for many
tell
people.
you, I wanted to go into a cocoon. I wanted to kind of like hibernate and not very, not human a lot, in that 3D world, which we did talk about with the new Earth and things like that. But yeah, I wanted to kind of self-isolate and really just do some mindfulness and self-care,
Yes.
and give myself some self-love and things like that. I walked a lot of walking meditations, earthing, grounding. That's where I put a lot of my energy. You really took a look too in my diet and really got that more strict. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, and a lot of things, a lot of things. It brought up a lot, a
Yes.
lot.
It really did. So if for our listeners, if you felt like, you felt anxious or depressed, or just wanted to be alone, or just didn't feel like isolating, didn't feel like socializing, felt like you just wanted to be quiet, be in the stillness, self-care, boy, if ever there was a time for to do self-care, it would be now, and we're still in this period. So all of these things we're talking about would be normal to be, there's nothing wrong with you. These are symptoms that are common when there's a heavy duty full moon or a solar eclipse or lunar eclipse, which is what we just experienced. And this is, these eclipses, the effects of these eclipses can last 3 to 6 months. So, self-care is the answer, really, self-care.
Well, do we have anything major coming up? Because I don't know if I can supersize my order any bit more. I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
we do have a solar, I believe a solar eclipse coming up in early October. I believe this is going to be in Libra. So yes, there's going to be more. We're in eclipse season, right? Eclipse season usually is in the spring and in the fall. And so we usually get 2 eclipses, a lunar and a solar eclipse each season. And so yes, we do have another eclipse coming up. I always feel the lunar eclipses are heavier because the moon illuminates what's hidden, what needs to be released. And the solar eclipses always kind of highlight, here, this is what you need to do now. Okay, get happy, be in the sun and move forward. So we're in a little bit of we're still in the lunar. We're in the lunar.
Sun has been amazing. Get that vitamin D. It will help not only the depression, anxiety, feelings, emotions, everything. So, well, thank you for that, because a lot of people reached out. Rich, what's going on? I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling that way. Clients feeling very emotional, drawn, like I need to hear from this person and that person. And here it was, and I said, well, I don't do the astrology. I said, that's Pauline. I said, I don't even know what house I'm in. I'm at the end of the street, down the block. That's kind of where I said, she's the professional on this. And, but thank you for that. All right. I'm just excited. I want to get to our guest.
Me too.
All right. So let's bring her in, because I cannot wait.
And there she is, the
Hello.
one and only lovely Dr. Josephine LoGuidice, although I call you Pina.
Yes, most people do, so that's totally fine.
So welcome, and please meet
Welcome.
Richard.
Welcome, Dr. Pina. I'm so excited to finally meet you.
Likewise, Richard. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh my gosh. No, thank you for taking time and being able to talk to our audience and our listeners and viewers. So I'm so excited. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh no, truly my pleasure. I'm excited. I've been waiting for this all week.
Good. Yes. Well, we have been excited. So I'm going to just give you a nice little introduction so people know who you are. And she is a driven, warm-hearted naturopath, and that is the truth. She has the biggest heart, wanting to help everyone. And she's had her own journey of illness and things, which led her to discover natural healing and becoming a naturopath. You and I have that in common, okay? The former illness, which led us to much more of a holistic lifestyle. And so, Dr. Pina, I'm just going to read this a little bit so people can get the full gist of you. Dr. Pina's drive and passion for helping originally began when she was faced with health issues of her own and was thrown into a world of investigating various treatments and a close look at her own inner wellness. Her journey and discovery into her own holistic health changed her life for the better and gave her the chance for a joyous life. And this allows her deep empathy and understanding of what you may be going through. Dr. Pina graduated from Bastyr University, the leading accredited university for science-based natural medicine. She's completed 5 years of training in naturopathic medicine and acupuncture. Before naturopathic school, she received a bachelor's degree and completed her pre-medical studies at the University of Rochester. She then went on as a pre-doctoral fellow at the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, in the clinical neuroendocrinology branch of the Institute of Mental Health at NIH. She researched the mechanisms of mind-body neurohormonal regulation. After medical school, Dr. Pina completed a specialty internship in pediatric medicine and women's health. She's been hailed a world expert by Dr. Mehmet Oz on the Dr. Oz show, and she's well recognized for being a professional in the field of natural medicine. Wow, wow, and wow.
Thanks, Pauline. You're so sweet.
So today, and Dr. Pina's on Long Island. She's not far from me, right? So we're going to talk about how to optimize wellness in today's world. So perhaps you can start with telling us, like, what do you see the most health issues that need to be addressed, or what do you feel that most people are struggling with?
I mean, I think it's, in today's world, which is obviously very fast paced, very much, influenced by so many outside sources all the time in terms of social media or television or, a lot of external pressures. And I think, as a naturopathic physician, what we're always trying to do is look for the root cause of illness. And so, from my standpoint, I've been a naturopathic physician now almost close to 22 years, which is crazy to me, but very blessed to do so. And I think overarching is a lot of the adrenal fatigue and, and the pathology of what comes from, the adrenal glands being overtaxed, and then that relationship with digestive health. Because from naturopathic training, we are trained that most illnesses or chronic illnesses come from digestive disorders. And it doesn't mean that you have to feel over gut disorder to have problems. Like cardiovascular disease is linked to digestive disease. Autoimmunity is linked to digestive imbalances. So there are a lot of other areas that in the conventional medical model are not seen as related to the gut, but from a naturopathic perspective is very much so. So when you look at a weakened, gut integrity along with a weakened adrenal gland, you're going to get those metabolic fatigue. So I think this is why everyone complains, oh my gosh, I'm just so tired. And I don't have the energy and I don't feel as vital as I used to. So when you hear that pretty much chronically as an umbrella statement, and then it gets down to like which particular illness then the person may be presenting with, whether it's cardiovascular, diabetes, or whatnot.
And I love all of this. It falls in line with what I know as a master herbalist, right? Studying how these systems work together. And one of the things that the medical community doesn't recognize is adrenal fatigue. So can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think people are experiencing tremendous amount of adrenal fatigue stemming from worry, fear, what's going to happen, wanting to know the future, feeling unsettled in their lives. And that takes a toll on the adrenal glands, does it not?
100%. I mean, and it is a very catch-22 situation, because the more you ruminate about the worries and concerns of yourself or the world or your family, which weakens the adrenal glands, but the more it gets weakened, the more you're going to feel ungrounded and unrooted within who you are. So it definitely is, unfortunately, this vicious cycle. And, in the conventional medical model, when you're looking at the adrenal gland, what they're really primarily looking at is something that's in a disease state. So whether you have, there's two ends of the spectrum with regards to adrenal disease, where someone has either Cushing's disease, where the adrenals don't function, or Addison's disease, where it's over functioning. And most people are not in that over disease state. So even though they'll have symptoms, because it is a spectrum, the human body, it's not always this black and white thing that the medical model looks at, like where if I could see it, I can cut it out, or I could drug it or whatnot. And again, there may be a time and a place for that. But in general, people are in that spectrum of what's happening with their adrenal glands. So they could have, if the adrenal glands can then, are always trying to help us adapt to outside world and the outside stressors so that we can maintain an internal balance. But again, when the outside input is just way too much or we're overthinking, what happens is that our little adrenal glands, which sit on our kidneys like a little hat, basically, get tired. And when those glands get tired, what happens, it's going to impact your female hormones or your male hormones. It's going to impact how your immune system functions. It's going to impact how your blood pressure functions. It's going to impact how your sugar functions and in terms of putting on weight. So there's a lot of areas that where people are exhibiting weight gain and fatigue and whatnot, and they're looking for answers. And really it's within the adrenal glands that is where the answer lies. And then really doing things not only through nutrition, but even behaviorally, because I'm a firm advocate that the body speaks. People are like, I don't know what's happening inside me, and I don't know. But when we do have symptoms, it is the way for our body to talk to us, and we can look inward and being like, okay, where are we not taking care of ourselves? Where are we where are we doing too much, or do we have too much toxic people in our life? So when you do go inward and you listen to and ask the body the question, what is this about? Believe it or not, I know it sounds crazy to many people, but it does answer you. It's pretty quite remarkable.
It does. The body does speak, and it does give us answers, and it does give us guidance, right?
Yes.
And there's always some emotional component too that's underlying. Can I ask you, how do you feel about, like, what would you recommend for like adrenal fatigue, and how do you feel about like the desiccated adrenal supplements?
Right. I do like them. I mean, and speaking that you're also an herbalist as well. I mean, Mother Nature really did provide so many beautiful botanicals to heal numerous conditions that we have today. And so even within the world of botanicals to help the adrenals, there's, the most simple one that I give to people is an Ayurvedic plant called ashwagandha. And ashwagandha is a very gentle adrenal tonic. It also helps with the immune system. It helps with cognition in the brain. There are other plants like licorice. So if someone's like really, really exhausted and flat out, licorice is beautiful because it actually provides the cortisol that usually becomes wiped out when you've pushed the adrenal glands too much. And, and what I find so interesting is that in all different parts of the world are there adrenal gland support botanicals, whether they come from India, they come from Russia, they come from Asia. There's in every continent, there is some form of an adrenal support that is very safe and effective. And then with regards to desiccated adrenal, again, when someone's in a really significant state of fatigue, it does bring the gland back to life. It provides the nutrition back to the gland. So while you're doing, again, all that behavioral stuff to kind of not repeat the pattern, my hope is with patients is that when they're trying to work on those behaviors that got them to that place in the first place, the desiccated adrenal support works beautifully. And sometimes you could find blends that will have that along with the botanicals in it that I also appreciate.
Yeah. One more thing, and then Richard, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know I hear Richard's mind going, so I want to give him the opportunity. Richard and I are very in sync.
I love it.
We're very telepathically in sync.
It's beautiful.
So yes, so it seems like, look, many ancient cultures knew about adrenal health, right? Because these plants, Ayurvedic or even North American, these plants that address especially adrenal fatigue and hormone, they've been around for centuries. Do you have any understanding as to why the medical community doesn't acknowledge it?
Well, I think it's interesting because in the United States, there are three types of physicians. There is an MD, which is known as an allopath, and an allopathic MD is a very systems-based medicine versus a DO, which is an osteopath, which initially they look at the musculoskeletal, and an ND as a naturopath, we look at everything from mind, body, spirit. So you know, the issue with in the conventional medical model is that it's not just part of their training. You know, it's a very, like I said, almost black and white system-based medicine. So that's why I feel that, you know, it shouldn't be conventional medicine or natural medicine. It really should just be called medicine, and really whatever the person needs at that time. Because obviously I have extensive training looking at root cause of illness, what brings the different body systems out of balance. And, you know, and of course, I do believe there's a time and a place for, you know, the conventional medical model. But, you know, I think it's just not part of their training. And so for them to even think about, because again, they're only going to think about it in those two disease states, either Cushing's or Addison's. And most people don't have those overt disease states. So it's that shade of gray where they have difficulty, I do believe, with, and that's why I think in general, chronic disease is what it is, in especially in the United States, is because they're not looking at the interactions between body systems and how things can interrelate, and maybe how you know, nutrition, because nutrition is actually an elective in conventional medical school. So even them to even know that, oh, you know, maybe these nutrient deficiencies are causing this fatigue or adrenal state or heart disease or whatnot, it's not really looked at the way I believe that it can or should be for the benefit of people.
Beautiful.
100%. And I'm going to kind of chime in because you're in my happy place, Dr. Pina. So, you know, and I really
Richard's getting all
appreciate.
positively triggered here. He's just like,
No,
oh,
I
he's
mean,
getting
this
all
is like,
so
I'm getting
happy.
goosebumps, like my vibration just, whoop, because here's the thing, and this is near and dear to my heart. You know, I've experienced what you explained, the one side or the other, the black or the white, right? So I was in a very severe car accident where something fell off an 18-wheeler and I hit it head on 95 doing 70 miles an hour. And I had, you know, stage 5 concussion, cervical surgery, 2 herniated discs,
Wow.
3 herniated discs down in the lower lumbar region, permanent nerve damage down both legs, you know, and the rehabilitation was about a good year. And they had me on epidurals and, you know, here's Lyrica and gabapentin and this and that. And well, anybody that knows me, I don't do anything that messes up my connection with spirit. I don't do that whatsoever. You know, so I had to utilize breath work, and you know, they're kind of like, well, let's start with nerve stimulators and then we're going to fuse everything. And then you gained weight because you're so sedentary. You gained over 200 pounds. And so we got to do gastric bypass. And I said, no. And one day I just didn't return because none of it worked.
Right.
And I sat with the higher self, the body mind connection. And I said, all right, what do I got to do? And they said, remove the inflammation. And I did it through diet. And the
Beautiful.
first thing you said about gut health, and for people that don't realize, most of us walk around with a damaged gut or digestive system. So the first thing I did was start to repair my gut. And then I started removing heavy metals and parasites and toxins out of my body. And then I basically went to something very simplistic, no inflammation, nothing triggered inflammation in my body. And then all of a sudden, within a week, pain went away. Within a month, neuropathy was cured. I'm like, how does this even happen? You know, I had ablations down both legs. None of it worked. And all I did was eat meat, salt, water, butter, grass-fed, the highest quality I could get. And my body responded. Well, that was 2.5 years ago. And lost 217 pounds in 1 year. It was the easiest thing I ever did in my life. And I've maintained this through simple practices, through nutrition, and boosting the adrenals and removing the fight or flight mentality. So I walk every day, and not for the exercise, but for this. And I think people miss that component. So when you have patients that come to you, what is the first thing after assessing kind of like, you know, their I guess, the chief complaints. So what kind of game plan do you usually kind of, prescribe to your clients? And again, it's nothing specific because it's all, but how do you tackle this?
Right. Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to hear that, like, that's an incredible journey that you've been through. So I'm so thrilled to hear that you look amazing and that
Thank
you've
you.
been able to like help yourself. And that's one thing that I always love to say to patients when they first come in is that the body has an extraordinary capacity to heal. Like it is really, it is the power of the mind. It is once you connect with the meaning as to why your body went into imbalance, because life is not easy. I tell my daughter all the time, the reasons why we have obstacles is that it will always teach us something, let alone give us extraordinary resiliency. But there's always, that lesson to change our life in a positive way. So, I mean, it's, I'm so happy for you. But when I see a patient, for sure, I mean, I think the first thing I always say is that over 75% of our immune system is in our digestive tract. So when you're looking at decreasing inflammation in the body for any condition of any sort, you do have to address the gut first. And so then that's what you need, because then, once you decrease the inflammation in the gut, there's something that a lot of people do suffer with, is something called leaky gut or gut permeability, where that allows parasites or toxins or heavy metals to invade our bloodstream and again, further create more of that inflammation. But when you clear the body up, that's usually what I do with the patient. I listen to their story and I say, okay, and again, you have to meet everybody where they're at. Like some people I would be like, yeah, I love it. Go on that super clean, diet where it is very restrictive, but unfortunately, every person is where they're at, and you have to either may walk baby steps with them, but which is okay.
I viewed it as a sense of everything that I put in my body, even down to the water I drank, is it going to hurt me or heal me?
Correct.
And I went at it with that mentality. And I think people who are in a chronic state of where they're just sick and tired of living or just existing this way. And you see that people that come in and, the quality of life is so diminished.
Correct. And that's the thing. And that's, I think, for me, the one frustration as a provider, because, having done this for over 20 years, I've seen some extraordinary and beautiful things happen to people, and not only to them, but I had like, as Pauline said, I had my own health crisis that really, that's a huge eye opener. And I think, like I do this for a living. I mean, so, so people, you have to want it, because sometimes I do think there is this disconnect that we've been so ingrained because of the conventional medical model that you take this pill that will be better, and it's very black and white. And so having to put in the work for yourself, a lot of people struggle with, but it really is the ultimate in self-love and self-respect that, what, come hell or high water, I'm going to do this and eat this way and do this for myself, because being this other way is not an option. So, I mean, it is a testament to who you are and your grit, because it's not easy. And I tell patients all the time, I know it's not easy, but it is so worth it when you do it. And it's amazing, and you could heal without side effects, and you see the progression of your body strength, and you see things come back to life, and it's such a beautiful journey in itself and exciting. So, I mean, I try to always relay that sense of hope as well, like while people struggle with the fact that they can't have a slice of pizza every day. So, so.
And you're right. And what I find, even when I work with clients and they've gone through horrific trauma and experiences, and they come to me and they say, I want to heal this. I want to move through this. I want to start living my life. And most people, and I always use this phrase, will never come to their own rescue. And it's the same thing when it comes to our health and how we live. You're right. This has been just an amazing journey. And what people don't realize is on the opposite side of it is a new you. It is truly a new you. I am a completely different person, body, mind, and spirit. than I was over 2.5 years ago
Beautiful. No, and it's
through
amazing.
a
Yeah.
simple shift of consciousness. And like you
And
were talking about.
I mean, people forget. I mean, even on our own, like we get a new stomach every 7 days. Our liver, if you cut it in half, you can regenerate. It's really we are a regenerative organ. And it's so amazing that when you think that your body has that beautiful capacity, it's like, why not harness it and use it for your greatest, health and good? And, and even with health in general, like the body does like to heal in layers. So sometimes I'll work with a patient where we're really focusing on their nutrition, and then maybe they've hit a plateau, and I'm like, okay, well, now this is where you need the energy healing, and this is where you either need to have Reiki or craniosacral or some other layer of the trauma to be unraveled. And once you continue to work on yourself, because again, we're not just a physical body, we're emotional and spiritual. So from a spiritual standpoint, working with a provider to help release those traumas energetically off of you, working with someone with your mind, because the mind is so powerful,
Yes.
because the body will listen 100% to what you tell it on a daily basis. So again, even mentally, working with providers to be in sync to your truth of what of who you truly are. And when all those things do come together, it's extraordinary. It really is amazing.
Well, we are our own alchemists. We just
Yes.
have to get on the same page with the body, mind, spirit, which is, the book by Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life. And it is, where thoughts go, energy flows within
Yep.
the body. And if you learn to start releasing and show up for yourself and really embrace yourself and love yourself and affirm perfect health, you can take the steps. So with this, if somebody is interested or somebody is in the place where they really modern medicine or conventional medicine, I should say conventional medicine, is failing them like it failed myself, right? What are some of the first steps that they start, like what do you suggest as very simple? And I always say rule of three. If you give them two, it's too little. If you give them four, they paralysis through analysis. So I always say rule of three. So if they're not in the place of where conventional medicine is working, and they truly want to embrace a healing lifestyle or a healing path, what do you suggest that they do, whether it's even preparing mentally, emotionally, physically, or like, I don't know, the audience needs some tips.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously from my base and I mean, I'm a naturopath, and I think everyone needs a naturopath in their life, and not just me, but I mean, there's many around the country, all around New York. I mean, you can find a provider who can help guide you for sure, but even from the very simple, like on your own, start looking at, like, do a diet journal for yourself. What am I putting in my mouth every single day? And then looking at the foods that you're eating, the quality of foods, how you're preparing your foods. Are they nutrient dense? Are they clean? Are they organic? Then I move to, like, even then journaling. What are you telling yourself? Give yourself a journal for all the things that you dream about, envision, and what does the greatest version of yourself feel like in your body. Write it. Any negative thought goes into a different journal that you rip up and purge and get rid of. Like, you don't want to keep that information. And then, of course, sleep habits, sleep habits, sleep habits. Like, people really do underestimate the power of sleep and what it does for the body. And people are like, oh, I'm just a night owl and I still get the same hours of sleep. No, there's no such thing as a night owl. I mean, it does mean you do have cortisol dysregulation if you are not going to bed until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So really, even from the Chinese medicine, Chinese medicine has been around for centuries, and any Chinese medicine provider will tell you that every hour that you go to bed prior to midnight is actually worth 2 hours of sleep after midnight. So the sleep quality is so much better. Like I go to sleep at 9:30, 10 o'clock the latest. And so it's, and even the funny part, I laugh because I have one daughter and who's 16, and, most 16-year-olds want to stay up all night, and she'll be out with her friends and she'll be like, I got to go to bed. So I'm like, yay. So it's so great. But that sleep, and then of course, exercise. I mean, the basic tenets of health: move your body. We are animals that are meant to move, and if you don't move your body, your brain will not be in good health. Even just 20 minutes of exercise alone will actually change your gut microbiome for the better. So you don't need, if you can't afford a provider, or you don't, the supplements are expensive, basic life: sunshine, walking, good food, good sleep, good community. I even tell patients all the time, there's that great book about the blue zones on the world. Like, you're familiar with those places where everyone lives to be well over 100. And that's
Yes.
really what they follow. It's that basically they have a great sense of community. They move their body, they're eating cleanly, they have, they're sleeping well, and it's just, it doesn't need much. The body doesn't really need much, but you do have to provide those things and look for yourself where in those areas. Like, I wrote a book, and I even did a quiz for people to be like, what area in the, of these spots are you weakest in? And then focus in on that. Like, if you feel like you're really a great exerciser, but you're a terrible eater, or vice versa, then work on those areas. And that alone will transform the body.
And I think to both of your
100%. Yeah.
points, yeah, to both of your points, making little changes, all right, another tip, making little changes that you can handle over time will become second nature.
Yes.
So it becomes your lifestyle, and you wouldn't want to go back to the former way, whatever that may be, or the former foods. You start to develop sort of an aversion to it. Like, I know what I used to eat, and I mean, I used to love, like, vanilla Carvel. I can't eat that. I mean, no, it's not even real ice cream. But when I was younger, I used to love it. So there's certain things that I became aware of, that as I ate them, they were disrupting my gut health. I could tell whether I got bloated, or I felt tired, or I didn't feel well, whatever it was. And when you make those little changes one by one, after a while, they really do, it becomes a staple. It becomes second nature. You just start living that way automatically.
I absolutely agree. I mean, it's just like the hardest part that I have when I work with my patients is just the behavior change. It's a lot of people will have little tantrums, and it's okay, but you do have to realize that, those things, don't serve you. And that's the thing. It's like, I tell patients, like, you've been doing the same thing for X many years, and this is what's going on with your body. It's like, they say the definition of lunacy is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So you really do have to shift the body outside of your comfort zone to really make the most positive changes, and the body will respond and thank you.
Yeah. And I like what Richard said too. Very strong affirmations to affirm my body's getting healthy, right? My gut health is improving, right? Strong affirmations spoken daily before you go to sleep at night, upon waking, when you're, it's those slightly altered states of consciousness right before sleep and upon waking, that these affirmations anchor in. They get stronger and stronger. You just have to keep at it. But I want to shift for a minute. Go ahead, Pina. You have something else?
No, go ahead. No, go for it.
I want to shift a minute to pediatric medicine.
Sure.
Because there's lots of moms who are very concerned, who have young children, who are very concerned about excessive vaccination, and just about where to bring their children. What do you say about that, or what have you seen in with children in your pediatric approach?
I mean, what I have seen very sadly is that, children are getting sicker and sicker, and I'm actually seeing a lot of adult disease in children. Like very oddly, like there, I would see more little kids with thyroid disease and Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune, thyroid inflammation, which, and so a lot, I mean, obviously then people talk about like the change in behavior, a lot more ADD, ADHD. I see again a lot more autoimmunity in children, which I had never seen in my earlier career. Unfortunately, I think overall we just inherently live in a very, very toxic world, and wherever that insult of toxins are coming from, whether, I mean, it could just be from air pollution. It could just be, mold exposure. And, I mean, I could talk about schools and mold exposure and not having a good air filtration for children. And, there's a lot of areas that, again, I think a lot of people have good intention and want to work on, but we're not quite there yet. And I do think, as a parent myself, it is about, as much as humanly possible, doing the same things as you would do for yourself, keeping that child's diet as clean as possible. I think the biggest thing parents have is this guilt that their kid won't thrive if they don't have the candy or the chocolate or the cookies. And and kids will grow. I mean, that's what they're meant to do. But if you can minimize that external burden, because if you see the body as a bucket, the more you fill it in with all those external toxins, this is where the body's going to get overrun and you're going to get symptomology. So, the same ideas with parents. If you could take yourself to a more holistic type of, provider, because again, there are many who will see children, but at the same time, it's what happens at home. Children learn by example of what happens, what mom and dad is doing. So if you're not eating that way or behaving that way or going to bed that way, and you're telling the kid to do so, they're going to look at you being like, don't be a hypocrite. And even sometimes too with parents, like their own energy, like I will talk about this all the time. If you as a parent are coming home and you're, you may not even say that you're angry, but you're vibing that you're angry, especially mothers to their children still have that energetic umbilical cord. So if a mom is frazzled or worried or overwhelmed, she cannot even say anything. And then the whole energy of the house will shift. So I always ask parents, like, even before you come in the door from work, listen to some grounding music, do some breath work, before you, or put some essential oils in the house so that the whole vibe of the house can resonate a lot more harmoniously, and the child will feel more grounded and secure rather than like this dissonance of like, there's something not right here and they don't know what it is. And so then they, lash out in some way. There's a lot there, I know.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned that, Pauline. I had no idea what you were going to ask. I had no idea, Dr. Pina, what you were going to say. And I have, toxic food, home, equals health. And I already knew it because, I find that a lot of, even for pediatrics and for children, the chemicals, they're everywhere in everything. The dyes, the chemicals, even down to everything, the candles, you name it. So with a quick question, I know Pauline and I share the same philosophy and we live this way as clean as we can be, right? Because you'll go crazy you cannot live clean in this day and age 100%. It's set up against you. The air, chemtrails, things like that. So how much do you find when you start working with somebody, do you suggest to start going to a cleaner, maybe non-toxic lifestyle?
Oh, 100%. When I do an initial, my patient meetings, my first time with a patient is an hour long. So I really get to know them, what's going on in their home, what's the home dynamic, what are their main sources of stress. One of the top questions I ask, are you using good water filters? Not the water filter from the fridge, but a high quality water filter. Do you have good air filters in the home? Are you using clean products in the home? I will go through every area of what I feel that can cause a body burden in any way. And again, I will ask families as much as they can afford or do so to clean it up as possible. Like I have so many families where, they'll just only drink out of the plastic water bottles. And these children have such high BPA levels because now I'm testing their toxic burden on these kids. and it's through the roof. And so even just simple things of, giving your child a stainless steel water bottle and, just giving them the clean water from home, because unfortunately, Long Island water is not the greatest. And so just any of those little things will make a difference on not only the parent's health, but the child's health for sure.
Oh, I get 5-gallon Mountain Valley Spring delivered in glass bottles. I drink it.
But I
My
have in
my
my office.
animals,
Yep.
oh my gosh, my animals drink it. Everybody. And for our audience out there, I will tell you, I turned over the house, and basically everything in my house, I have major air filters in every big room, down to laundry detergent, beauty products, which we're going to get to. You have this book, right? That's going to help a lot of people. I want to get to the little book.
Uh-huh.
But people think even down to Ziploc bags that are non-toxic, and all the food we consume that's non-toxic. Um, it's actually cheaper in the long run to go non-toxic. And people are like, Rich, what do you mean? It is. I mean, first of all, a lot of the products are 100% better than what's commercially produced out there. Second, it is more affordable. We just have to go find it. And then you're not paying for copays and prescriptions and all of this other stuff. I haven't been to the doctor in several years because of what I do in this lifestyle. But I would see you because, I totally love all of what you're putting out there. But do you think that if you wanted to make a suggestion to our audience about how to switch over to a non-toxic lifestyle, what are the like 3 areas they should focus on the most?
I can't speak to other, parts of the country, but I know Long Island primarily has the water quality is very poor. So, and obviously since we're majority of water, I would say get a really good quality, water filtration system for the house, or deliver in good high quality water. Probably number one. I would also change the products that you use to clean, white vinegar is as cheap as it comes and just as effective to killing, viruses and bacteria and all these things that we've been told to freak out about. But we do live in a petri dish, and we've always had since the beginning of time. So you should not be afraid of those things. But I definitely, changing the home products, because what you inhale very much will impact liver health. And next to the gut, I do think the liver and your ability to detoxify, again, everything else on the planet is super, and keeping your liver super clean and healthy is important. And then, once you have good quality water, and then the next thing with the products is if you can get air filtration. There are a lot of companies out there that are not super costly, but I do think it is worth an investment, because I do the same thing in the big areas of my house. I get these great high quality air filters from Switzerland just to take out everything, so that especially at night when I'm sleeping, because you're in that bedroom, whatever, 8 to 10 hours, and you really want to make sure that air quality is super clean. And then of course, if you can get, organic clothing, furniture, paint, and all that, it all makes a
It has
difference.
to be overwhelming. It really does. What I say is control what you can control, and
Absolutely.
don't drive yourself
Yeah,
nuts
you
with
look,
the other stuff, because if you will.
you can, if you, I have many patients who can get into the minutia of every little thing, and it just creates more anxiety disorder. But again, the body is adaptable. It will manage. Here we are in time, but we just have to be a lot more diligent on, again, what we're able to control, what we're able to do, let go of the rest, and then continue to work on things as you can. And so it's the best philosophy that I give my patients.
More quick question, Pauline. I know
Yep,
one
no,
quick
no,
question. So what
please.
about if your partner does not share the same philosophy? Because you talked about from the child standpoint, you practice what, they are the product of the environment, right? So what do you do if you need to reclaim your environment, your health, everything. And they're kind of like, hostess, slices of pizza. I got a Sicilian pie. Here we go. Coca-Cola and
Right.
bleach.
Right. I mean, it's a really tough one because now you're getting into, mindset, because sometimes, like, again, what I found in my career is that, if I'm talking to someone, here is my thought process, but they energetically or mentally are only here, they're never going to understand what I'm saying. So in some way you have to, it's kind of like if I'm up, if they're down in a well, I can't bring them down, put them on my back and bring them up because it's going to be exhaustive to me. Where you can do the best you can in terms of clear communication, providing research and information of showing that the facts are out there. I mean, and there are great organizations. Like I always refer to this website called www.ewg.org, which is the Environmental Working Group. All the research and literature is right there, from products to food, pesticides and foods, so a lot of people can read it. And it is about hopefully the meeting of the minds, because then it does become a huge problem in families when one partner just doesn't get it and one's really into it. So if you have any advice for me, I'll take it.
Well, I think, the first thing, and you hit the nail on the head, very clear, effective communication, telling them your thought process. Most people don't understand where you're coming from. And if they truly love you and respect you, they'll embrace somewhat of that philosophy to kind of match you. We never, in what I do is I say, I never lower my vibration to match a situation,
Right.
right? Eagles don't fly with pigeons.
They
You
don't.
just don't. You don't. So why lower the consciousness to match something? But if you articulate it in a way, you can tell somebody everything. It's how you explain it to them, not like, why are you eating Hellman's, or why are you spraying that? And oh my gosh, you're going to kill me. Ha ha. Like, no, we
Yeah.
don't shame them. Get them to see where you're coming from, and that's the big thing. And then make slight changes. Don't overwhelm them.
Correct.
Baby steps,
Yes.
everything in moderation. So you may switch out one product. Ooh, I liked it. Did you like that product? Yeah. Now all of a sudden you pique their interest and
Right.
you move forward synergistically.
Yeah, I'll do that also with kids and foods, because a family would be so used to giving their kid, let's say, regular chicken nuggets. And we're like, okay, if we could just swap it out to the organic gluten-free, 9 times out of 10, the kid does not even know, the difference. So I do agree with you 100% by making out those small changes for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then appreciation. So communication, baby steps, and appreciation. Thank them for being open-minded and give them gratitude. A lot of times that goes so far. I appreciate you. Oh, thank you. And next thing you know, they're now more receptive to taking the next step forward and the next step.
I agree 100%.
Okay, I could talk to you all day. I
Oh, you're
really could. I love this, and I thank you, and really have a lot of respect for your philosophy and paving a way in a more conscious world. And I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm thrilled to talk about it. I really, like I said, I feel so honored and blessed to do what I'm able to do. And, you know, I feel like everyone needs to hear it. I think it is an integral for life, and a happy life and a joyous life that we're all entitled to. So I do think, like I said, like I love being on platforms like this. So again, thank you both so much.
Oh, no. Well, look, we lead by example, right? And eventually people want the example. Yeah, they want what you have. And if it's good and you feel good, people inherently want that too. So was there something from the book, Richard, that you wanted to bring out? Her
Oh, I think,
policy?
we need resources in our life.
Mhm.
And, I was on your site and I'm like, wow, I love this, love this, love this. I want that. I want to do this. I want to participate in that. Right. And I came across this little thing, and it's the little book. about beauty and health. So tell us about your book.
Yeah, I mean, it's called The Little Book of Healthy Beauty, and like, I
Yeah.
never had an intention of writing a book, but it was presented to me. But how I base the book, it really is not so much about beauty. It's really about the inner beauty and all the underlying deeper things that we need to do to obtain health for anti-aging, standpoint. So really, that little book, has all the basic things that I literally tell my patients every single day as a basic framework. It's a very inexpensive book. So if you want to start at the places of that we're talking about today, it does provide really clear guidelines about, sleep and detox and exercise and gut health. And then it'll go into some supplements with regards to anti-aging and things that are really good for the skin and the heart and whatnot. So I do think it's a very quick read, and I'm happy to have it out there as a nice resource for people.
I appreciate that because I think there needs to be more resources out there to help people align with natural health and not what is, most doctors they're not going to promote this. They're going to, it's about a bigger company, incentives, turn and burn kind of philosophy, customer mentality, and there's very few doctors, very few that want to actually get to the root of the problem and not put a Band-Aid,
Correct.
So please, I highly recommend checking out this book. I'm sure they can find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And it is The Little Book for Beauty and Health,
Little Book of Healthy Beauty. Here, I
of
think,
Health and Beauty.
here, I'll grab it. It's right here on my desk. One sec. So it looks like this. That's it. Nice and
There you
cute.
go.
Call it very quick. I'm gonna say quick bathroom reading. While you're sitting there, you can go, oh, here's my quiz. This is what I'm weak on, is my detoxification. So
a good starter book, okay? A good place to start, okay?
absolutely.
So, for sure. Okay, so I mean, my goodness, I could have tons more questions for you, Pina, but we won't take up too much of your time because I know
We'll
you're
have you
very
back
busy.
because
We'll have
if
you back.
you're ever willing to come back because I find our audience really does need to hear this. They share a lot of these philosophies and are in this vibration where they do want to heal and they're looking to come to their own rescue, and we need the resources or the voices out there to tell them it can be done, and it's not hard, it's
Not.
not hard.
It's not, and like I said, I always say people do forget the body has an amazing capacity to heal. You just have to step on the path and it'll be yours. I mean, it's really amazing what can happen. So yeah, very grateful for what I can do. And there, and if people want to, they could join my newsletter. I'm always putting out really good information as well. Just about different health topics if they want to read that. But of course, I'd be thrilled and honored to come back and talk to you guys.
For
Thank you. And
sure.
do
Yes.
you see clients via Zoom?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Because
It's around the country. Yeah. Yeah.
a
So
lot
it's
of our audiences are,
Oh,
all over the
all
United
over.
States. We also, the Spotify, oh my gosh, we're in, Israel, Belgium, Sweden, Brazil, we're all over. So
That's wonderful.
we have listeners. So tell people how they can get a hold of you, your website,
Sure.
and any information that you would like to share with everybody.
Sure. So the name of my company is Inner Source Wellness, because I do think it all comes from within. So it's just www.innersourcewellness.org. So it's .org, not .com. And, on there would be your ability to contact me. It has my phone numbers. It has social media links. It'll have link to our newsletter, to our office email that for some reason, if you have any other questions or again, want to be put on a newsletter list or whatnot, you could always, go to my website. It's pretty much all there for sure. And then I think there is the link to the book, to go direct to purchase it on Amazon.
Perfect.
I love it. I love
Great.
it.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Well, I'm actually going to come out and see your space soon.
Yes, I can't wait.
So yes, and I want to thank you, my friend. I love you so much. And
Thank
I
you.
am
Thanks so much
so
for having me.
honored that you took the time to come on the show. We absolutely, Richard, will have her back. Because we've got so much more to talk about with Dr. Pina.
Sure.
And
You have phenomenal energy, and I want, you really do. It's not just what you're doing, but you have this amazing energy around you. So
So
I
grateful
just had
to
a
hear
no,
that.
and I'm not just saying that. I really, it's like, it's unbelievable. Our audience is truly going to appreciate this. And I wouldn't be shocked if you have some consultations. So if you do book consultations with Dr. Pina, tell her where you heard it from.
absolutely.
We get nothing for it. I trust me. I just
Yes.
want, I want people to be able to help their body, mind, and spirit. And we have somebody here shining a light, guiding you every step of the way. So, Dr. Pina, thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you guys. I'm so grateful to both of you. You both are true blessings. So thank you for having me on, and I will wait for my next invitation.
Yes. Well, Pina,
Excellent.
you and I will talk very soon. So
I look forward to that, Pauline. Thank you
yes,
guys. Have a
me
great
too, my
day.
sweetness.
All
Thank
right,
you
be
Bye-bye.
so
well.
much.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow. Wow. I love that.
Wow, wow, wow. And she's a Sagittarius, so she's got fire and she's just amazing. I just
Yeah.
love her.
Well, and the energy's there and the commitment. Again, we'll maybe next time dive into some of her experiences if she chooses to share. You please go to her website. I really think that it can benefit so many people. If you're on the Long Island area, please, or New York area, please check her out in person. But I think we need to do this. We have a lot coming up energetically, shift of consciousness. And along with that, our body and mind have to follow.
Mhm. Well, I agree. We're shifting paradigms. Life is going to change, and it is going to force us to look inward and to be healthier. Isn't that part of evolution? We talked about this, Richard, not just the mind, okay,
Yes,
but the body, all right, the heart, the gut, all right, all of it.
yes.
Yes.
And it really is. And everything she mentioned is what, I practice in and started with the gut, shift of consciousness, removed a lot of the stressors in our life. And what people don't realize is stress is so damaging
And
to
there's
our
a lot of it.
body.
Yeah. And
Oh,
there's
and
a
it's
lot of
a,
it today, and there's going to be more. So we need to prepare ourselves and take care of ourselves to deal with it until things just smooth out. And they're going to smooth out.
and learn new coping mechanisms. Because
Yeah.
again, what she said, the definition of insanity, is putting out these coping mechanisms and expecting a different result. I always say life is always going to happen. It's always going to happen. The stress will always be there. How do you handle it in a way that works best for you? Change the coping mechanisms and you will get a different result.
Perfect.
So please check out Dr. Pina. Pauline, do you have anything special going on? Any events? I know your newsletter always comes out once a month. So if you haven't subscribed, please go on and receive Pauline's newsletter
Yes.
and her YouTube channel, the YouTube channel.
Yes, and this recording will be uploaded to YouTube in a day or two, so you'll be able to watch the full episode in case you missed it. And yes, do sign up for my newsletter because I have some online events. Sometimes I just throw out a last minute meditation, and sometimes it's free. So, but you have to be on the newsletter to get it. So do check it out. PaulineRaffaella.com. And if you haven't picked up The Little Blue Room, do read that because it is a book on transformation. And boy, I think the Great Awakening is going to be kicking in more and more, and the transformation is going to be real.
It is. It is. And So if people in the New Jersey area, I will be there Saturday in the Woodbridge, New Jersey area at a psychic fair. You can check in my Facebook. I've made a post. You can message me ahead of time. We've already had a bunch of people reserving spots because I will fill up and I will sell out. So please reserve your spot. So you can DM me and I will put you down. Also, if you haven't checked it out, Signs and Symbols Prompted Journal. This has been absolutely amazing. People are buying this left and right. It is connecting with your loved ones and how to do so. It is unbelievable. Go to richardlarocco.com. You can find all of the prompted journals, all the events I have coming up, or to book a private reading. So again, thank you all for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Share the word. Tell people if they, what are they doing Thursday at 3 o'clock? Check out the show.
Be well, everyone. Self-care. And I'm sending everyone so much love.
Much love. Everybody have a great day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you next week, next Thursday, 3 p.m. Have a great, great day.